Hi, this is Ambi from Board Game Blitz, and today I'm going to do a vlog style video to show you how I print and play Button Shy games. Now, if you don't know what Button Shy games are, they're a publisher that makes 18 card games. They're all 18 cards and they all fit in these wallets. So you can buy printed versions, published versions from them, and they come in wallets like this. I got this as a review copy. So they have like 18 cards in this wallet. But you can also buy print and play versions of them and print them out yourselves. And because they're just 18 cards, it's a relatively easy print for me. So you could probably use this method for any cards, but like I like doing Button Shy because they all come in the same format and I'm used to it now. And it's not too many cards because once I print more than like a few pages of cards, it gets to a lot of printing. Now, this is not a comprehensive guide to print and play. It's just how I do it and how I've found works. But if you want more resources on print and play, you can check out PnP Hideaway. Martin over there has a lot of resources on print and play, from like beginners to if you want to get really deep into the hobby, because he is really good at printing and crafting games. But I'm just showing you an example of printing out a Button Shy game because I've been doing a lot of those recently. But anyways, the reason I've printed a lot of Button Shy games is a couple years ago in 2023 on their Black Friday sale, I bought 5 different Button Shy games for $1 each, and I actually made a video about that. And then this last year, 2024, during the Black Friday sale, I splurged and spent $13. So I've got a lot more games. So I'm going to take you through the printing of one of them. I actually printed out most of them already. So this is like a final product of one of the games. What I haven't printed out is the Skulls of Sedlec expansion. So I will show you my process as I do that. All right, so this is the file for one of the expansions of Skulls of Sedlec, and here's another example. All of the print and plays for Button Shy, they come in the same format, like 6 cards on each page. This is letter size. I don't remember if you can download A4 size, but US uses letter size. So I'm in the US and I use letter size. So you wanted to print double-sided, flipped this way. So that's flipped on the short edge, I believe. But we're gonna do manual flipping, which I'll show you later. So I always print the instructions just on regular paper, and then cards I will be doing on cardstock. All right, so now I've printed out the instructions on regular paper. Usually Button Shy games, they come with like a whole page of instructions, and then you cut it out and fold it up. But these are expansions, so it's just very small. So I'm gonna cut it out and fold it up. But you gotta remember, for the settings, you have to make sure it doesn't print the whole document, just the first page. You'll have to like update the settings each time you're printing, because when you print the cards, you'll have to print just the odd pages or just the even pages, or like just pages 2, 4, and 6 or something, and then just pages 3, 5, and 7, because you don't want to print the instructions again, because you'll be printing manual double-sided. So I'll show you the card printing next. So for the card paper, I use cardstock, which is a 65-pound cardstock. I'm in America, so we use 65 pounds, which you would think would be, about 30 kilograms, but that's not how paper should be measured. This is actually about 176 grams per square inch, I think. It's cardstock like that. When I load the printer, one thing I noticed is that like the alignment of my printer was not consistent if I only load one page into the printer. So I want to load the printer like at least halfway or something. So my printer, I don't know how other printers are, but like I think I've heard that. So I just load a bunch of sheets into the printer, and I might add more actually. And then I'll be printing like just the fronts and then just the backs. So as I said before, like when you print, you got to make sure you're only printing the front sides. The expansions are all separate files, so I do like even pages only for the front side. And then I actually have, you want to do print settings, and you want to make sure you do it 100% scale. So I actually have like a setting saved where I think it is 100% scale, like retain size, yeah, so depending on your printer. But you want to make sure that you're doing it at 100% scale, because otherwise it won't be the right size, and you've got to be consistent too when you're printing. You make sure it's the right size both times you print so that it'll align well. And also, like if you have expansions, you want it to be the same size as the base game. So now I'm printing just the front sides. So here it's printing out. Hopefully it's printing okay. After I print it out, I keep track of like which way comes out first so I can flip it the right way. I'm pretty sure I have to flip it like this, like that. And so then I'm gonna put it back in, because then it's gonna come out that way, and that's the way that's up. It prints so that way is up, and in the file that way is up, and it's like gonna be printing the back side also that way up. So I want to go like that to print the back sides. Depending on your printer, it might be different, I don't know, or depending on the file too, but I think this is how Button Shy always is. It's always like a landscape file with that way up. So then I do that way. All right, I actually checked the size of the printout, and apparently when I click when I do print using this, it doesn't actually change the size. So I have to make sure it's actual size here and also when I print here. So just making sure it's actual size is very important so that it matches up. So here I was taking one of my old cards from the original game and comparing it against the size here, but see it's like a little bit bigger. So then I made sure it was actual size, and then here it's the right size. These are the guidelines where you cut, so it should be matching up with those lines. So now the first back is printing out, and I can also check that with the previous. Hopefully the colors will line up okay. It looks like it's close enough maybe. I don't actually know the rules of the expansion, so I'm not sure how important it is for it to match. Looks like the size is good in this one too. So now I check the alignment. It doesn't have to be perfect for me because as long as it's just playable, like I'm gonna be cutting along the back so that all the backs will look similar. The front, there's usually enough bleed here. There's all this part, the border, and the only part that you really need is like the symbol and the text here. So as long as it won't cut off the text and the symbols, it should be fine. So I'm holding it up to light now to see. You can see the alignment over here on these lines are good, but here you can see there's like a gap between the ones in front and the back. So I just think if I cut along those lines on the back, it would be okay, right? Like this line here, up here, it wouldn't cut off anything important. So that's good enough alignment for me. All right, so now I've got all three fronts and backs printed, double-sided. Some are more aligned than others, but they're all okay for me. One of them's like cutting off maybe like all of the border, but it'll be okay. If I worried more about alignment, I could straighten up the paper each time before each page, and maybe that will help my printer be more consistent. But like I print out multiple sheets at once, so between each sheet, the printer got a little bit misaligned. But I don't care too much about perfect alignment, so it's good enough for me. That's my theme, good enough. The next step will be laminating the cards. Now, I've heard that you want to wait like 24 to 48 hours between printing and laminating to let the ink dry, because sometimes the laminating might not stick as well if the ink is not dry completely. So that step will be later in a couple days. Oh, but what I can do right now is cut out the instructions. So these instructions are like this. Usually these guidelines will be the size of the button shy instructions because it'll be a full page, but here it's just a small rectangle. So I'll just cut around that and then I'll just fold, I guess, fold along here. And now there's nice instructions. All right, it has been a couple of days, so these should be sufficiently dry, and I'm going to laminate them now. So the process is I laminate them and then I will cut them out and then corner around them. And my laminator, I've got this old laminator here. It was a hand-me-down from my parents like 10 years ago, and then it was old, I think. So it probably could get an update, but I don't need a new one. So like it's not the best laminator, and sometimes I feel like I have to laminate it through twice, but usually you would just make sure it's hot and like laminate through once. These are the laminating pouches I have. These are new because I ran out of other ones. If you haven't laminated anything before, you open up the pouches and then the paper fits inside it, and then you can just laminate it through. You put it through the machine, it heats it up and seals it to the paper. And you can cut after it will stay laminated, or it should. Sometimes mine peels a little bit, but I found that I can put the card in after it's laminated and then it will like stick it back together. Or like you laminate twice or something, I don't know. But with a good laminator, it should stick just with one pass. After lamination is cutting. So back when I did free print and play games, I used to cut with scissors at first, and that takes a while and is not completely straight. Then I got a cutting thing, and then I upgraded to this cutting thing. What I like about it is that this is clear, so I can see where I'm cutting. I had another one that I couldn't see where I was cutting, but this has a slide. This blade slides through this part. This has a cutter and it cuts. So you can put the cards in here and see where it's cutting. This also has a guide wire, and so you can kind of line it up. The blade is either to the right or the left of the guide wire when you put it in, so you kind of keep track of that and you can know kind of where it's cutting because it's not exactly on the guide wire. And when I cut, I try to stay consistent, and so like I always cut from the same sides. For example, if I'm cutting on the right side where the cards are facing up, I'll keep it that way for all of the cuts instead of turning the paper over and doing it the other way, because then it might be a little bit off. Like if it's a little bit off, it'll be consistently off because I'm like lining it up the same way each time. So I'll cut all the things. One thing I learned, the guidelines don't go all the way through. And before I used to wonder, like, how are you supposed to cut the guidelines and like make it so you can still cut? Because like if you cut all the way through, then you can't see the guidelines anymore because you've cut them off. But I figured out that you can cut in the middle of the guidelines. So with this, you can just, this lifts up so you don't have to cut. And then you can place the blade down in the middle of the paper and then just cut the inside. So you're gonna cut from guideline to guideline and you're not cutting all the way through the paper. And so you do that for all of them until the cards kind of just fall out. And so that way the guidelines remain intact. So I figured that out and I was so excited. And it turns out that, you know, a lot of people know that. I looked later on the PnP Hideaway group on Facebook and it's like, oh yeah, everyone does that and that's like a common thing. So I independently figured that out before looking for help. But looking for help first should have been the thing to do. So that is how you cut the cards. You cut inside the guidelines, preferably with one of these like paper cutters, not scissors. Scissors can't really do that. And then you can keep the guidelines the whole time. So then I cut out all the cards after they're laminated. All right, so now I've got a stack of cutout cards. I cut them on the backs so that the backs will look the same, all centered and stuff. The fronts, you can see based on the alignment, they're a little bit off, printed to the left, I guess, but that's okay because I can still play with it, and the backs are what need to look the same. Sometimes like the corners of this peel a little bit. Last time I printed, the corners were peeling a little, and so I just like ran it through the laminator again after I round the corners, but this time it's okay, I think. I might not need to, but I might do it just in case because like some of the cards warped a little. It's good to put like a flat surface on the edge of the laminator. I forgot to do that this time, and so like the weight of the page kind of tilted the page down as it was laminating, and so before it completely cooled down, it tilted a little. So I might just run them through again just to have them flatten. But that's after I do the next step, which is rounding the corners. See, these are pokey corners. They hurt and they peel more easily than rounded corners. So I use this Kotamaru Pro corner rounder. There's also like a Neo one, which I want to get, but I don't need to and don't feel like spending money on that at this point. The latest batch that I made, I used the small setting on this. There's 3 settings, small, medium, and large. I used the small setting, but the first time I did it, which included Skulls of Sedlec, I used the medium setting, so they look a little different, and that's just personal preference, but since I'm making an expansion for this game, I gotta use the same setting, medium, so they look the same, right? Pretty similar. So, corner rounder is really cool. Just go in there, and then go like that, and it rounds the corners. So you do that for all of them. So now the corners are nice and rounded, and it matches my previous one. Yay! All right, I've got these now. I found out that like I can put them like this. Need to make sure they're very straight when I put them in so that they don't overlap, but I can put 3 at a time pretty much. Yeah. And then take them out the back sides so that they aren't warped anymore, hopefully. Woohoo, it works! So now I have a nice set of not warped cards that are all like pretty good on the backs. Same size, same cut, and rounded corners, and they feel nice. So this could be it. Like I have that, and I have the instructions. That could be it, but I want a storage solution for them. So you could just put them in like a deck box or whatever, card box. I also have these things from Michael's, but you notice I made little wallets. Someone on the PnP Hideaway group, they had a link to Google Drive with a bunch of origami wallets, patterns for that. So some of them, I was able to just take the ones that they've already made, but other ones they hadn't made yet. So I made my own, because there's also a template. So I made my own and like added stuff, and I might make my own for all of them just so that they're consistent, so that I have like the same icon and same consistency for the wallets I make. But I'll show you the making of one of these origami wallets too. All right, so here's the origami wallet template. I'll link that in the description, but you can basically, in any image editor, I use GIMP, which is a free open source alternative to Photoshop. You can add stuff here. And so like this part will be covered up. The non-gray part will be showing. This part where it says add logo is this part, and the exposed inside is these triangles there. And then on the back side, that exposed outside beside logo is this part. And then I think that exposed inside, or maybe that exposed inside is those triangles. I forget. Anyways, you can fold it and figure it out. You gotta like flip long side kind of, but I think I made mine so I like flip it upside down too, because like I have this facing the same way up as that. If you have something like that, you have to make sure you flip the right side when you print it. And then here's the instructions for folding. And I'll show you an example of that. You could also just make your own wallet just like out of blank paper and not have it labeled. You could write on it afterwards or something, but I wanted to make fancy printed ones. All right, I wasn't actually sure what to do for the expansion for Skulls of Sedlec, so I'm gonna make one for Revolver Noir, which is another one that I had printed out. So usually I've been doing, like for this one, I have like the card back art for this part, and then a stretched out version of the cover page. So for the back side here, Revolver Noir, the card backs are different, so I did like the layout thing and kind of stretched it out. And then for the front side here, I have the same thing, like I use the same layout thing. And so I'm gonna print these out. I just print it manually double-sided, like with the cards and stuff, flip it myself. All right, so I printed it out. So this is face up and then like that as well. And I cut along the guidelines. That one's not as important as the cards, but so to fold it first, you have the front on the back. So the back is inside, and then you fold it in half. And this fold isn't gonna be in the final part. So this is like a measurement fold, because like this won't be folded in half at the end. And then you're gonna open it up and then fold this in half here to the inside. And this as well to the inside. And when you do these folds, it should line up with your little template. The way I made the template, it'll be like folded along there like that. Then you open this up and fold the corners in. These corners are covering up the parts in the template that said like that part's not showing. And then you're gonna be folding along the line here made by these two corners up there. And that's gonna be like this part of the template that is the cover. It's gonna be along that line. That makes the cover part. Like this is gonna be the cover flap that opens up. You'll see. Going to be like that at the end. And then, so after you fold those in, you flip it over, and then you're going to fold, the crease is already here, you're going to kind of fold this crease back this way in here. And this one also in there. This is the inside of the wallet now. And then you fold this like this, and that's it. Boop. And there, see, that's the front, inside, and back. And so now you can take this, I put like the references in one of them and then the rules on the other side here. So I'll do like, these go in this flap, and these can go in this flap. And it's got a nice little origami wallet for the button shy game. Yay! And if you don't care about making it as fancy, I'm going to try to do the same thing with just regular paper. I haven't actually done this before, so I think it should work. It'll be a slightly bigger, but I think it should still fit the cards. So you go like that. So yeah, if you don't want to like print out your own art or one of the pre-made templates or anything, you don't have to. And I guess this is the way also, if you do this and then unfold it, you can see exactly which parts go to which part of the wallet. So here's another wallet. And so this, I guess I can put my expansions in here. I don't know if I should keep the expansions separate. I'm not sure exactly. I could put these with this one and then, I don't know, make another one. Or I could put them all together, just call it schools. Schools have said like expansions. No, I'll just put them here. And then you can like label it however you want. There, fancy. That works too. It's a little bit looser, but you could cut it down to like a smaller size so that it's a little tighter. All right, and that is how I print and play these button shy games. Or at least that's how I print them. I haven't gotten to the play part yet for a lot of these, but I did get to the play part of the 5 that I printed a couple years ago, and you can watch that video next where I talk about those games. But hopefully I'll get to the play part of these 13 new ones soon. Hopefully you found this video helpful. If you did, click the like button and make sure to comment below with any questions or other tips you have for print and play games. Thanks for watching Board Game Blitz. Bye.